Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and today we go to the peaceable kingdoms of Arcadia and the gate town of Fortitude. In short, uh, anything you've ever hated about the nine hells, the lower planes, this plane of existence, Arcadia and its gate town of Fortitude, is anything and everything you've thought of about the upper planes of existence and the very worst of um, goodly fascism. Yeah, we're going to visit this place. Unlike Mount Celestia in the upper planes, which is more internal. Good morning there, Caligula's Palace Live. Hey, good morning. Thank you for joining. I'm not sure if you've been hanging out on the side. It's the first time I believe I've seen you in the chat. Thank you very much. Anyone who's able to participate in the show live, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube or Twitch, you guys are co-hosts. So Mount Celestia and the upper planes of lawful good. Um, it's more internal. It's more a journey of the inner spirit. Sure, there's an external desire to climb the mountains, but it's very much a personal journey with some outside influences to strip away the selfishness and evils, air quotes, evils of alignment as one goes on their fantasy journey into the upper planes. The peaceable kingdoms are Arcadia, which lies in between. Um, it is lies in between the planes of lawful good and lawful neutral, and it is all about working together for the greater good externally. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that this is a place that has armies where they train. Did I spell it? FORTITIDE? Did I do that? I sure did. Can I change it? I don't know if it'll let me change it. Not while I'm live. I got to go back into it. Thank you very much, Drew. Yeah, I got to point these things out because I would have just let it. I would have just let it slide. I wonder my spell checker didn't pop up. Normally I always spell. Arcadia, you're failing me in your perfection. So as we've said before, there are these gate towns in concordant opposition in the plane of neutrality, and there's a place known as Fortitude, and Fortitude is our gateway, literally and figuratively, into the plane of Arcadia. And like I said before, it's between the lawful plane of lawful neutrality and lawful good. Now, everyone has a hankering for the plane of lawful neutral, which is Mechanus or Mechanus. It is the plane of the Modrons. It's a plane where it is literally made up of gears that are the size of small towns to giant continents, all interlinked, moving in a pre-patterned in perfect symmetry. And it, of course, it's the mechanical realm. And of course, there's the adventure with the March of the Modrons. Every 289 years, the Modrons march throughout the multiverse, putting things back in order. They are doing the put right and such. So this plane borders that. And there's rumor, don't tell anybody, but there's rumor that um, chunks of the plane of Arcadia have broken off and been absorbed into Mechanus, and no one in Arcadia wants anyone to know that their desire to be more lawful, ordered, the structure of things, their literal militaristic attitudes are actually causing the physical plane of existence to break off into one, and is a possibility that the plane of existence might completely disappear. I actually am a great fan of that idea that the inhabitants of these interstitial planes, like the planes in between one alignment or another, are in a state of flux. And despite the fact that maybe this change may never happen during a player character's lifetime, that these are changes that happen, through millennia and such. Like, for example, the Earth is probably going to fall into the sun at some point if it doesn't get impacted by something, but it'll be so many hundreds of thousands, millions, billions of years that we'll never even see it. But yes, if you notice, I even picked a little. I like to have some fun with the little animation framework on the screen, and I wanted to pick something that normally I pick it for like science fiction and stuff, but it's very ordered. So if I can describe Arcadia to you, you might understand why this plane, that's combination of or in between lawful neutrality and lawful good, and why it exists the way it does. So Arcadia, as I said, is a plane of law and order, all for the greater good. And keep in mind the greater good part, because we're going to talk about that in terms of how do you have an adventure? Why would you visit here? What kind of trouble can the players get into? That kind of thing. So chaos is strictly regulated, if not immediately asked to leave the plane, while evil is immediately eliminated from the plane by the patrolling guards. So this plane, um, unlike many of the other planes of existence we talked about, there are sentient beings here who are actively looking for and to get rid of chaos and evil. So players that have, we talked about, like, can you have a different alignment and go to these other planes of existence? And for the most part, in terms of trying to have an adventure, you have to have some leeway. So the general answer is yes, you can have a different alignment when you come to these planes of existence. It's just that over a protracted period of time, you're going to be found out from your own behaviors and some of the greater entities that may come around and snoop around and just try to discover what those alignments are. And many of the planes of existence are so antithetical to certain alignments that it player I can see player characters just themselves giving themselves away because of pushing against the essence of it. But in Arcadia, it's not so much the plane, it's the people in it that are looking for chaos to regulate it, to make sure it doesn't get out of hand, to try to curtail it, the chaos, and to basically eliminate the evil, physically and militaristically. Anyway, let me keep going on. So it's located between, as I said before, between Mechanus and Mount Celestia. The inhabitants believe that absolute order and law should help the greater good, that evil has no place on the plane. Um, mm, mm, mm. The plane is ordered and good. The plane appears to be immaculately laid out. Forests of trees appear to be more like orchards in perfect rows. Sweeping plains of grass never grow too high, but rather grow to the same uniformed height, with flowers laid out in perfect grids, all colors grouped together. Wandering the plain, outsiders must stick to the gridwork of roads or be treated with suspicion, with patrols of guards and petitioners making sure that anyone straying from the road and breaking the law has a specific and good reason to do so. So, in other words, if you've ever walked across like a park, a public park, or like a college campus, you'll see that, like, if I just walk in a straight line, I can get to where I want and not follow the concrete paths which take me in this circuitous route. But on the plane of Arcadia, it's like you start walking through the orchards and start taking your own path and going off the beaten path. They're going to like, where are you going? And you're like, you know what? It's easier if I just walk in a straight line. And they look at you like, no, your ass is staying on the path. I don't care that it takes you 3 times as long. And so that's going to be probably one of the first giveaways when the PCs are like, I'm just going to fly over there. They're like, yeah, no. Outsiders are rarely trusted and greeted with suspicion until they can prove themselves. This can take months or years for an outsider to become trusted, and even then, petitioners might still reserve full trust until a mortal dies and their soul becomes a petitioner on the plane. Even long after, even longtime petitioners of high authority can have suspicion cast upon them, especially recently, as the entire plane of inhabitants seems to be stressed about something, though asking about it simply makes you a suspect. And that's because of um the plane breaking off into uh lawful neutral. Yeah. Yeah. The greater good. Yeah, insert hot fuzz meme here. It's for the greater good. So this is the plane of existence where we can really like turn the volume up on the we're being good to you, and you're going to be good and treated well because for your own good, whether you like it or not. It's the plane of existence that wants to police the food you eat, the friends you have, the clothing you wear, what time you get up in the morning and go to sleep in the evening, all that kind of stuff. It's, as a matter of fact, it even has a sun. The orb in the There is no dawn and dusk, so the orb in the sky is a bright sun that has a blackened orb on the back end of it, and it just spins 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night, and it's basically like a giant flashlight of sorts. As it spins through the infinite plane, when it becomes daylight, it just instantly goes from night to day, and then from day to night. That's it. Scheisse says, is Arcadia a plane where politicians have to prove themselves? I don't I don't think they'd survive too long. Because I mean, well, you would have to prove yourself, and then even if you did prove yourself, there are still other people who might be suspicious of you. Like, everybody on the plane is proving to everybody else that they are both in line with doing the good thing and eliminating chaos and evil out of their lives. When I Heathen says, basically the priest of the temple of Ceres from the long rush song 2112. I don't what is that? I can't. It won't let me. All right, I gotta do. I do the whole thing. Give me some more context, because you're probably right. I can probably guess that you're absolutely right. So yeah. Arcadia playing where politicians wouldn't last too long. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay. All right. Mm. I try to avoid this as much as possible. We're going to have to get into some real world ethical quandaries. So we know that uh, there are people in the real world that are looking out for everyone's best interest. And on the Russia's descent into the abyss of Prague. Okay. The group. Oh, I was like, the movie? What? Sorry. That's the first thing that came to you guys are fine. So, um, there's a fine line where there are people who are looking out for everyone's best interest, and individuals who are actively working against someone else's freedoms to ensure that those people are treated both by the law and treated well. An example is that, for example, here in the States, that fluoride is put into the water to ensure that when people have drinking water, it helps protect the teeth. And even to this day, even though it's not very loud, there are people who are, I guess you could classify them as libertarian, that are very much against it. Like, I don't have a choice in not drinking water with fluoride in it, right? And it's about the greater good. Now, we understand this. Sometimes it's called the nanny state, where um, the the government and other entities in power, people in authority, are making choices for people against their will. New York City has had this thing about a tax on sugary drinks and things like that. Arcadia and the gate town of Fortitude is this writ large. It's like, what are they serving at the local inn when the players get there? Well, they're serving a hearty meal, and there's probably only one meal on available, and probably everyone sits down and eats it around the same time. And sure, the players might not want to have a bread bowl of onion soup, but you're eating onion soup and bread bowl because it's, I don't know, it's high in calories. You're going to be burning off a lot of carbs and whatnot because you're going to join an army to help fight against evil. And I'm pretty sure, the way it's described, that many of the armies of good that are in the blood war fighting it are not coming out of Mount Celestia. They're probably coming out of Arcadia, and it could be pretty horrible, especially when you're afraid of you're in a society where you're afraid of sticking out. You're afraid to go against the norm, where you don't, there is an idea, especially I know I have, where people make their own bed and they have to live in it. Hey, you do something wrong, that's your own fault, right? And you let people fail on this plane of imposing the law and imposing goodness on people. They don't want people to, if you sit back and let it happen, they're going to look at you like, what are you doing? You should be stepping forward and helping that person. And like, no, they made their bed, let them lay in it. Heathens. Ah, shitlords, give no quarter, the real world shall not pass. Yeah. When I hear this is talk about the song, yeah, I'm a minority because I love the song, even though it is just a dressed up rock and roll take on Ayn Rand's Anthem. It's not that deep. It's just a good story. Yeah, song. I mean, yep. Mm-mm-mm. About after humans take nuclear cells, it's a very strict society. It controls everyone because of a person who finds an ancient electric guitar. Ooh, that actually, I could see that. I'm gonna hold on to that idea for a storyline, Heathen, about the idea that there's like this perfectly structured society, and someone finds an ancient electric guitar. Because much of the issues that are happening in Arcadia that they don't want to talk about is exactly the thing that's happening that's causing the plane probably to shatter apart. And what it would take for them to not do it would work against the very nature of what they're trying to do. And so it's pretty funny. Not familiar with that context. It is hilarious how Neil Peart was an objectivist. The great Russia's magnum opus lives on. Maybe today. Yeah, maybe today. All right. So the Gate Town. So the Gate Town, we've this day of series, which I kind of dropped a little bit. This day of series, you take a train and we're going to go around the multiverse, and or rather, the train probably goes around concordant opposition, goes around the plane of neutrality and stops in at the town of Fortitude. And Fortitude is a place where people are obsessed with perfection to the point of obsession. Um, people. There's constantly cleaning and pruning and sweeping, people dressing in the finest clothing and such, and making sure that they are cleanly, and even their pets and the way they talk and such, very deliberate conversation and such. And there's even a place known as the Pavilion of Purity, in which people go there to um, excise their evils, what they would perceive as their evils, to get rid of the chaos and get rid of the evil inside of them, to the point that it will, if they are true to themselves in doing that, it will literally drain from them as like a black fluid that will drain into the underbelly of the city that no one wants to talk about, that's down there. Um, and that's how the gate towns exist, really, right? The gate town is kind of lawful neutral, lawful good, but there's something in the underbelly that has nothing, that's the opposite of its alignment, and that's where that takes place. Drew says, Ayn Rand would hate Arcadia. I guess it would be a deserving hell for her. There is a bit of a. I could imagine there is a bit of a, like, if you go here, it's a hell of its own making. Because I could even see people who, in our world, who end up passing away, who have this. Hey, I'm just doing this for the greater good. There's a reason why we have. I mean, how many laws, very intrusive laws, are created by well-intentioned individuals who would probably, if they passed away, their souls would come to Arcadia, of imposing law and order and goodness onto others. And you can see how that, why the plane is in between lawful good and lawful neutral, right? So law, lots of laws, doing it for the greater good, but the neutrality part of it is imposing its will on other people. And so it is militaristic in a sense of, we're going to go out and see how much goodness we can do by eliminating the chaos in people's lives and things. So they definitely, this is a place where over drinking, overindulging, um, um, public intoxication and public outbursts are looked down upon. Um, the type of education that someone has is very controlled. I'm sure reading the wrong things, uh, trying to the idea of physical and mental and social perfection is also there. So you're expected to become more athletic and martial, to exercise yourself. That you should be quick and muscular and balanced. I mean, there's more Olympic, I'm thinking, and athletic than for your average citizen than just martial. But you should be able to defend yourself and defend weaker individuals as well. Um, there is this idea that, I mean, they even mention that um, many of the inhabitants would sacrifice themselves than to allow evil to progress, right? Arcadia is connected to the seven heavens, Nirvana, and concordant opposition. The seven heavens is Mount Celestia and Nirvana, by portals made of either white ivory or black steel shaped like flower trellises. These portals are few in number, but rest at fixed locations in the first layer. Little is known about the other two layers of Arcadia. Now, the second layer, while there's not much information, relates to um, relates to the divine realms of Azoth and Sarvas, as well as Heliopolis, and it is shared by the Egyptian deities like Horus and Isis and Osiris and Ra, and it while there's not much information about it, it comes across as like a fantasy version of the Nile and Egypt, and it seems like there's a strict, while there's not much information, a strict um, roles that everyone must play, and probably a plane filled with like equal parts knowledge and sages and learning about the cosmos, and then equal parts of people who are just building monuments, um, borderline working on indentured servitude and slavery, but not quite, because the people are dedicated to doing the things. And then I'm sure there's also a last part where there's probably people in leadership to ensure that the greater good happens. So she might feel home with the dwarves. Maybe this is a plane where dwarves are the hardworking, lawful traditional dwarves reside as well. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, at first blush, Ayn Rand might like the gnomes, but even the gnomes don't believe in greed. That whole the whole Randian idea. People never think that they're the ones that are at the bottom. They always think that they always believe in things because they believe that they're going to be the ones at the top. But when you're the person getting crushed at the bottom, uh, people have a different idea about that kind of thought process. Yeah, public outbursts looked down upon. I hate having to pretend to be serious. Exactly, right? Yeah, no comedians here. Or they maybe they only tell the same jokes over and over again. I don't know. It was probably horrible. Nirvana is the Modron plane, right? Mechanist? I don't believe so. Nirvana. D. Let's see if we can. Yes, yes, the clockwork Nirvana of Mechanist, sometimes called Nirvana. It's the outer plane. I wonder if because let me see. No, it's the neutral good plane. It's been called the Nirvana of, because here okay, let's see. Forgotten Realms wiki, Dunstan. Yep, people are saying it's known as Nirvana. I see what happened. Land of cogs and gears, lawful neutral plane. middle ground between the chaos of Elysium and authority of heaven. Hmm. So what's the neutral good plane? Let me look that up. Okay, let's see. Oh, I already did. I already looked at it. So yeah. Mechanist is now. Yep, is Nirvana. Yeah. I think someone like me would like realms like Arcadia as a vacation spot. We always know what's coming, no surprises, and the rules are clearly spelled out. And I think that's probably why. Um, yeah, no jokes would be its own kind of hell, right? So there's this weird, and I can see how Arcadia has, while on the surface seems like a great place to be, why there's a lot of churn because, like you said, I think in many of our lives we want to be in a place where there are no surprises, where we are comfortable, where people treat us politely, um, and we're able to release from ourselves the stresses of having to do the right thing and the good thing and the lawful thing where those choices are already made for us, that we go there and someone says, here's a great meal, here's an Afghan, here's a great book, here's a place to go hang out and just relax, and we go, great, I didn't have to make those choices for me, this is perfectly fine, I'm done. I don't have to worry about being in control of everything. The state is in control for me and I can just relax. And there can be some there can be a peacefulness in that, especially for example, like here in the States, uh, when we travel to other places, our Americanisms, our statehoods can come out and kind of be kind of arrogant because we are used to having things work in a proper manner in and of its place and how it works here in the United States, at least how we perceive it. So when we go to other countries and things aren't done in a what we would consider a orderly fashion or operate in a particular way, we get really stressed out. And so I can see being here at least temporarily might be a place for people to relax and sit back and just put your feet up. The problem is that the longer you stay, the more they're going to say, okay, it's time for your ass to get up because we've got to go on a mission to go help people. And that could be in it, not being sarcastic, those missions to help people are probably necessary, right? We're going to make cadres of warriors to go out and free people that are enslaved, free people that are going to be eaten, that are suffering and all this kind of stuff, and bring them back. So it's a good thing. But on the other hand, when you're not able to express yourself, when you're not able to have a free thought, when you're not able to um just be a little naughty sometimes, and people are watching you and kind of like looking over your shoulder and stuff, it could be pretty horrible. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. You so guys are so funny. Um, you go. Drew says, people should learn to apply the veil of ignorance on their worldviews and not assume they will be born into a position of superiority. I agree with that. Yeah. US Americans should first learn to use the metric system before they want to tell anybody in the world anything. I see you with your fist in the air. And I always wondered why. I don't, it's just, again, it's a stubbornness, right? Like, it's just why the United States just doggedly keeps on to things, even though everybody else uses something different. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, well, listen, I drive a vehicle that's where I drive on the right side, but we still drive. We drive right, and I drive on the right rather than driving right and driving on the left, and it still throws people off. It says, "Must Americans know metric? Must we?" Yeah. Hey, listen, I still have to get on my phone to like figure out like ounces to like liters to volumes and stuff. I mean, come on, it's a little bit problematic. Let's be really real. Let's be honest with ourselves. Um, but whatever. It's pretty funny. All right, so let's get into what we're going to do here. Like, why? Oh, I'm sorry. Fortitude. Okay. So the regional effects of Fortitude, the Gate Town. living congruence and perfect vitality. So, creatures in fortitude appear more beautiful and symmetrical than their typical counterparts. And I think that might even be a draw for some people because there's a bit of vanity for people that live in fortitude in Arcadia, that they look and act and appear more perfect the longer they stay there. Now, it does it mean that if you just walk around, you'll become more perfect, or does the plane of existence allow you to reach a level of perfection unseen elsewhere in the multiverse? I'm assuming the latter, but hey, stay here long enough and absorb the culture, maybe you do become a certain way. But there also is, it has described that there are these boutiques, may something different than say a tavern or an inn. There are these boutiques that have the finest fashions. It's basically giant boutique makeovers. You've seen the television shows where you have the extreme makeovers where the individuals would have like everything from plastic surgery to exercise to voice lessons to posture lessons and fashion and all. Same thing here. There are these boutiques where, you know, maybe your dirty a, a down and dirty fighter that has passed away and still wants to keep the fight going gets here, and they strip off his armor, and you can see people polishing it or adding new pieces to it and replacing those leather straps because they're kind of old, and cleaning and sharpening his sword. And when he comes out the other end of the boutique, he's got like the perfect teeth and shining and stuff and perfectly coiffed hair. So there's a lot of that. The second part is perfect vitality. Creatures in fortitude are immune to the poisoned condition and have resistance to poison damage. The effects of diseases are suppressed. So, rotted fruits, poisoned creatures, disease, all of that kind of stuff is pretty much non-existent in Arcadia and very rare in Fortitude. So you don't have people who have blemishes or stomach issues or things like that. Mm-mm-mm. Uses I am with Entropta from the Shira show. Imperfections are beautiful. Exactly. And I actually, in a weird way, I don't know. All right. Before I go for myself, we know that even human beings we have a desire for imperfections. So, as an example, there during the heyday of the supermodels, the idea of a model having a mole on her face was looked at as a sign of perfection because it was an imperfection in the face of perfection, if that makes sense. And so there were many models and some actors and actresses that had or have some kind of facial blemish or thing, just a little bit to let us know that they aren't perfect. Now, you know, were there people who were enhancing their own thing or literally placing a dot somewhere in their face? I'm sure there was a lot of that going on, but there were some people that had those imperfections, and instead of getting rid of it, it was enhanced. And so that is why sometimes we will look at very famous and beautiful people, and sometimes we'll look and something about them will make us draw back a little bit. Like, why does everybody think they look beautiful? And it could be maybe they have a tooth that's out of line. They have a ridge on their nose that's just a little bit, or the nose is a little bit crooked. One eye might be just squinted just a little bit from another. But if we were to take a perfect picture of ourselves, our faces are not aligned at all. We aren't symmetrical in the least bit, and but we as humanity, we just don't see the fact that we are imperfect. But if we were to have perfectly symmetrical faces, it would feel like an uncanny valley. And I could see the beings of Arcadia having a bit of that uncanny valley in them. And how strange would it be that the most beautiful people in the prime material plane would be cast out here because they look funny? It also brings up the point of yeah, life on Earth is but a blemish. It does feel like that because we're pretty. Most of life on Earth is pretty minuscule compared to the size of the Earth and everything that happens on it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I desire imperfection. Breakfast beer, please. You know what? Some of the most fun people are imperfect, right? People who say the wrong things at the wrong time or say the wrong thing at the right time. Individuals like you're saying, beer for breakfast. People who like ketchup on their eggs. I'm just joking, but individuality is not accepted here. And while I probably would assume that there are people who are individuals, it's the idea of suppressing the individuality. It is a desire here, and people would like that. Have you ever seen? Oh, there are videos of extreme unity in motion. So, for example, there are videos, and I believe these were overseas, the what we consider the Far East, where they have these competitions where people are walking and moving in perfect synchronization, and they move in, and of course they are dressed and appear so that they all seem extremely identical, including putting themselves in perfect height order and things like that. And they're amazing to watch when you see these extreme these videos of extreme um, precision and such. And I could see fortitude being that way. Very, very much shield walls, phalanxes, attacking in side by side and synchronicity would probably be many of their battle tactics and things of that nature. Yeah, he's like, oh, people who like ketchup on their eggs are terrible. We all know Tabasco sauce is what civilized people put on eggs. Exactly. You're right. Yeah, I'm not. My uncle was a huge ketchup on eggs person, and oh wow, hell, what's that evil called? Oh yeah, pineapple on pizza. That's it. And we could go on and on. I'm sure this whole conversation, the people in Arcadia would be slowly pushing us out the portal, like, please leave. You so perfectly synchronized precision marching sounds like Germany 80 years ago. Stop. And by the way, everyone who's here, this is an individual who lives in Germany, right? But yes, the Drew says, I enjoy those performances, especially in marching bands. Yep, that move in and out between each other while playing their songs. Absolutely. So it's not that Arcadia is completely alien to us, because there is there's kind of a pride. I feel from looking from the outside, there's a bit of my chest kind of pumps out when I see people who are able to you so stop. It's so funny. Oh man, but I like the synchronicity when people are able to, like marching bands, military. What's there's a term for it. Um, where you'll get military precision marching and things like that. Yeah. Let's see if I can find it. Uh, pre- let's see. Oh, yep, Japanese precision walking. Let's see. I wonder if I could share that out. I might get in trouble, but whatever. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see. And without any sound, here's just a little bit. This is just an example of a little bit of what I'm talking about, where you have this like precision walking and things like that, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh man, Japanese precision walking. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that's just a small example. That's just that's just a small example of it. And I didn't want to get in trouble with YouTube by doing this live. But yeah, yeah, precision walking is good for the drummer. Yep. No. Yeah, no metronome needed. Never heard of Japanese music, but sounds interesting. Yep. Yeah, for me, synchronicity is not perfection, but excellence. That's thank you very much. Okay, story time. So precision, synchronicity, working in order, is that perfection or is it, like Drew says, excellence? Is it a skill to be learned to be able? Because here's the excellence argument of it. Hey, we need to accomplish something, whether it's building a house or a road or taking care of those orchards. We see precision. We see excellence in skill being done by people who perform a job. If you've ever seen people who are able to make pizzas and they spin the pizzas in the air and they put a piece together and they do things very quickly, it's an skill of excellence. But is that where humanity should go, where we no longer have our own personalities? We no longer have our own desires. Now, there are many people who feel great about helping the greater good. Hey, I want to help feed people. I want to help build that road. I want to help build that building. I want to help clean up my neighborhood. And that is Arcadia. But so what kind of adventures can we have here? So I would say one of those is finding the players may be tasked with going after the MacGuffin, finding the imperfection in a society that's obsessed with perfection. So the non, let's say the PCs arrive here and they're sending warriors off to battle or something. Maybe there's one or more people here that really don't want to be here any longer, or are better individuals who are better served being pulled out of the cult like fanaticism of the perfectionism, where their skill in getting people outside to work together, the excellence part of it, their skill might be needed outside of this plane of existence, but maybe they don't want to leave because they feel so comfortable being here. So it's kind of weird, right? Like having a um, having a desire to pull what Arcadia is best at, but taking it away from Arcadia to take it somewhere else where it's needed, maybe in the Blood War, right, or something like that. It may also be where does all the evil and chaos go that arrives on Arcadia? Do they just murder kill everything? Could be, or is there an underbelly where they've just been trapping it? Or are there agents of Arcadia that, if they are unable or unwilling to just murder kill everything, they are actually fueling the souls that are going down into the evil planes because they want so much perfection? They're actually kicking people off into the chaos and evil realms just so that they can keep it perfect here, which might be this could also be um, a stop off point for the player characters. Hey, we've been looking for so and so, and Arcadia is like, we wouldn't let that person stay here for 5 minutes. We move them somewhere else. And you're like, damn it, now we got to go somewhere else. The players could be agents of Arcadia looking for imperfection, and maybe there's imperfection on the plane of existence that they're trying to weed out. Um, yeah, when I Heathen says, "Oh, it's like synchronized swimming." I liked it. It must be a real task getting all those people in sync. Yes, synchronized swimming is perfect. A perfect analogy for that as well. I could. I wonder. They don't go into any detail like this, but I wonder how difficult it would be for the player characters to fight enemies that are in perfect synchronization. And I bet the very power and ability of enemies that work in perfect synchronization is disrupting the synchronization that they have. So an example would be like maybe the players discover that an enemy only works well when they have even numbers, but when they have numbered individuals attacking, they're out of sync. So six enemies, maybe two are frontline fighters, two are midline, I don't know, ranged attackers, and two circle around the outside like a perfect, like a circle or a crab or something, and but then if the PC takes out one of them, they kind of don't work together. But if they take out two of them, they end up becoming back in sync again. I don't know. It'd be kind of weird, but it would be kind of awesome too for the players to like. damn, they're perfectly in sync. They've got a shield wall and pikes and archers or maybe they're arcane enemies, right? They have four flying enemies swooping down at the exact same time while there's two wizards casting spells from perfect angles from side to side or something. Yeah, Traces, I think a bunch of perfectly synchronized soldiers might make easy targets. True, 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 true. Um, in terms of pre- you would easily predict where they're going to go and what they're going to do, maybe. Hmm. But I don't know. Phalanx of shields. I mean, you know where they are and where they're standing, and they were still pretty tough in ancient battle against enemies of similar power in nature, right? Like, I mean, when we're talking magic and fantasy, I could see there being an issue unless, like I said, you have flying enemies, enemies that can pass through walls, enemies that can, that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, now he says, "Oh, I love this idea. How would a troop or entire army work in total synchronization?" I feel like when they're working in synchronization, their power is probably um multiplied, right? There's a difference between a bunch of random archers shooting and a horn blows and all the archers all focus their fire on exactly the same point and know exactly what to do, when to do it. I think they'd be pretty I think they'd be pretty tough. But I have to agree that if they're perfectly synced, they might make easy targets. So maybe they're like glass cannons. I don't know. Drew says now I have to do the one on Neon Genesis Evangelion episode in which Shinji and Asuka had to synchronize their attacks to beat the angels. Yes. I don't remember the episode, but I'm very familiar with uh Evangelion, which I think is pronounced Evangelion, like evangelicals, because they always have in between all the badass fighting, they always have the introspection, spirituality, kind of weird storytelling and stuff. But yeah, although I still remember what a badass fight to have a giant robot basically using an aircraft carrier as a skateboard. I love it, or a surfboard or something. Shai says the phalanx of shields mostly had to do with making a turtle of shields. Yeah, back in the day when there were only bows and slings, so nothing could penetrate them. Right? That's what I'm thinking of, like the shield phalanxes. Let's see if I can trying to find a pic here. Um, Phalanx formations. Let's see if we could find some images here. Boop, 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 and then share this out. But maybe that's how they would. If they weren't doing that, I don't know. Well, no, no, no. If we think of like um, airlines, I mean, jet fighters, they fly in formations. So I could see formations being a thing that the Arcadians perform. So um, some other interesting not attacks, but like storylines would be also for the players to, of course, pretend to sneak in a heist, to pretend to be Arcadians and Arcadian like, to uncover some kind of secret. For example, there is the background secret of the plane, the literal plane separating itself apart. Maybe the player characters need to uncover some sort of battle plans. Um, there may be battle plans that the Arcadians have in the Great War against evil, and the players need to uncover it either because they know that they're being set up to fail, or maybe the player characters need to reinforce a group, or maybe the Arcadians are so arrogant in their perfection that they know how the battle's going to go, and the PCs are like, you don't know because we have information that you're going to go into a trap or something like that, and maybe the players have to work against the bureaucracy of sorts to get to the upper leadership to tell them, and no one's letting them do it, so they have to kind of like navigate socially and maybe physically to get to the upper level even though the Arcadians are like, no, if you want to tell me something, you need to go back to the beginning, and or weird things like that, right? Yeah, maybe something. And these are different types of. I mean, these are all shield wall phalanx types. Like you can see the Spartan 300 style versus like the more tower shield types. Like here we go. There's one here. Iraqi federal police officers execute a phalanx formation during a training exercise, and you can see how the shields. There are individuals kneeling down, and then the shields. Individuals behind them, and then in the third rank behind, they're protecting above the heads and stuff like that. So, and that we don't often see that in fantasy role playing. So, war. Official war style militarized working together, because it kind of doesn't fit into standardized role playing. So I don't know. Military formations remind me why I hated the Return of the King movie. That the orcs stood there in perfect formation just broke me. Yeah, yeah. Well, yes. Although there's a reason why militaries do what they do, because there's an ultimate objective. And heck, the beginnings of the American military, everyone stood in formations with basically firearms firing at each other. That wasn't very smart either, but that's how it worked at the time, right? You stood in formations. But the opposite of that would the opposite. The opposite of that would be smaller groups moving more chaotically, and you don't have as much control over it. So and let's be honest, lots of military organizations understand that they're going to have a certain percentage of losses, and so it's well, if we're only going to have 7% losses, it's better to stand in formation, right? And you're going like, those are lives. It's just kind of crazy. Some other stories might be recruiting. Maybe the player characters need to recruit from Arcadia, convince them that we need back. The PCs are like, look, we're in a plane of existence. We're going through the multiverse. We need you to leave here to go after an enemy or help us reinforce something. Or maybe the player characters are a rebel forward advance group. So, for example, the Arcadians probably don't approve of the wild and crazy player characters, but maybe there's someone who's like, hey, they can be our forward scouting advanced group to allow us to find places where we can set up a vanguard, a bulkhead, a barracks, some kind of something against evil. So the players are going around the multiverse finding places, and then once they settle a place, they call in Arcadians to arrive to reinforce, and then the PCs leave. They're more mobile. Maybe it's something like that. I could see maybe there's some other missions. For example, player characters need to uncover or find or be given a magic item or spell of perfection, right? So the players need to eliminate a great evil. On a plane of Arcadia, there is a perfectly formed, expertly constructed, I don't know, Holy Avenger or some magic item or something like that. Maybe Arcadia is the perfect place to bring enemies. They probably have a prison that can't be escaped from. They have, I don't know, psychologists that have a perfect track record, things like that. So maybe while Arcadia might be a little bit annoying to be here, it could be the place where the PCs can bring an enemy that can't be interrogated, which the Arcadians have a perfect track record of always interrogating their enemies and getting their getting information from them. Or the player characters find out that they're the cracks in the foundation of the perfection of Arcadia. So these peaceable kingdoms of Arcadia, maybe they find out that they have a perfect track record because they eliminate and have been hiding their imperfections to make things perfect. So maybe the leadership in Arcadia is imperfect, but they are creating the propaganda of perfection, thereby making other people who are part of the environment, and the people that live here, think that it's perfect when their leadership really isn't. I'm thinking of the movie Equilibrium, where everyone takes, they couldn't use the word equilibrium as a drug. I think it was called Prosium or something like that, where everyone had, they suppressed their emotions, and you had the clerics, the the clerics with the two guns and stuff like that, twin guns firing, gun fu, and at the end of the movie, spoiler alert for a very old movie. Let's see if I can find it here. I'm going to go search for it. 2002 movie. Ooh. Yeah, Equilibrium. Oh, they're showing us how to. I was like, is that gun fu? No, that's. I mean, the movie Equilibrium. The movie. That's better. But yeah, early Christian Bale and everything. Yeah, Equilibrium. Oh, there's some fun food. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find it. Let's see. I'm gonna find it. Equilibrium. Let's see. Let's see if we can find and put this up. Bam. Let's see how much trouble I'm gonna get in. But anyway, and it's pretty funny too, because like, of course, yes, it's the end of the movie. Yes, that yeah, with the gun flu. Oh, wait, hold on. Hit him. No, point blank. Damn it. I wish this director would make more movies. No, and look how long it's going on. Sweet. Such a sweet, such a sweet action scene. All right, so yeah, maybe that's the thing. Maybe like, yeah, there's maybe there's a underbelly where the the leadership is like hiding, or there's an imperfection in it, and maybe the PCs either have to excise it, or or like the argument with alignment in the first place, which is why Planescape can be problematic. Maybe the players are basically going around the this is one of a number of missions of the player characters exposing the problem of having a multiverse based on alignment in the first place. Like, you don't need to be perfect. You're perfect the way you are, which is imperfect. It's stuff. When I hear this, says, yeah, I imagine orcs being chaotic and getting them in line would be a monumental task for the top orcs. They would not stand in information, or at least not stay there. Exactly. Only by fear, and usually that means that's expending a lot of energy to do that. But that's why the goblinoid hordes never take over. Although the hobgoblins are pretty much they've been historically lawful evil. So I don't know. This is great. Now I have the idea getting playing a paladin that goes to Arcadia to get their holy avenger, since they surely threw those away when they get a little chipped and thus easy to find in the garbage. I chipped my sword and got rid of it. And the PCs are like, "What the hell are you doing?" I don't know. Got blood stains on it and won't come out. So yeah, yeah, completely divorced from reality, but oh so badass. Yes, it is. Yes. Uh, Oh, hey, Caligulus. Yeah, they're like, I'd like to be completely divorced from reality. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Yeah, we're almost done. Believe it or not, we're almost done. Going through the upper planes. Yes, the upper planes have a little bit of like yawn. It's boring. It's just good, and it's all goodness and light. But I think there are some darkness things, some actions that we could participate in, especially if the player characters are like, look, you've got 2 hours to get from one place to another on the plane of Arcadia, and the entire plane is against you doing the chaotic thing that needs to be done, even though it's for the greater good. And the PCs are looking around like, why don't we just go ahead and do it? And everyone on the plane is like, well, no, there's a process, and we have to stay on a certain pathway and go to a certain leadership and do. And the PCs are like, the hell with that, and they start like running through fields and jumping over walls and pushing past people and running upstairs and climbing things, and everyone's just like, you know what I mean, like as if they're like running around bucket naked. They're just like, I can't believe they did that. Yeah, para elemental planes, demi planes. We might take a break from that and then come back to it. I don't. Maybe where my white canes double as a staff because I'm really a blind mystical monk with a bag of holding full of whoop ass. Yeah, that would be kind of awesome. I wonder. All right, here's something pretty evil. I wonder. And the rules and rulings in this kind of make this not possible. Um, so disease and poison is not something seen on Arcadia, but perfection is. I wonder if some of the greatest people we know in our own lives that go to Arcadia, but there's something imperfect about them, and Arcadia kicks them out. And the PCs are uh, offended, if not downright thrown into a rage because someone lost a leg in battle and they get kicked out. Someone has bad eyesight and or has a limp, or I've got like a skin tags on my neck or something. I mean, it could be something as minor as that. And and the Arcadians are like, oh no, you have to we're gonna cure you of this. And the person's like, I don't need a cure. And they're like, yeah, but you're blind or you're in a wheelchair or something. And they're like, I don't understand what you mean. I'm a educator. I'm a coach. I'm a intellectual. I'm a expert marksman. Like I don't need to be. I don't need to be fixed, right? Yeah, yeah. A plane from Blake's. Yeah, a break from Planescape wouldn't be the worst thing. Now that you mention it, yeah. The divorce with reality was the best thing I ever did. It just worked out between us. Oh, t-shirt time. That's awesome. Yeah, that's funny. I love it. I love it. The singer is perfection always. Yeah, I mean that could be a thing where the players are on the side of or defending or are offended by Arcadia's sensibilities about what perfection is, and individuals who would be perfect in that community or are kicked out, and the PCs need to find the people that are kicked out because they are more important or more useful for a particular mission or endeavor or something. And the Arcadians are like, nah, you got to get out of here. Shit Lord says, how about a whole week of City and Star? I don't know if you guys want to do that. All right, I'll share something. Let's see if I can share this out. Let's see. City and Star creation doc. So what I did was I've been rewriting the rules so that you guys can see it. So because we're going to make a character sheet. I mean, we're going to work together to make a character. And so basically, what I did is just rewrote the rules so that you guys could see what the hell's going on. So as we're going to go through it, we can just go through it bit by bit by bit, and then just explaining what the system is. Trying to make it. So this. Listen, this is also a way for me to fall on my face and have my ass shown. Because if you guys are game designers and want to create games and things like that, you can learn from me and go, I'm not going to do what that asshole did. by making a mistake. So one of the very most difficult things about designing a game is you literally have to write things down and give it to other people and not explain it. And it's I remember back in when I was in school, um, a very fun thing we did was having to write instructions on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it's a lot more complicated than you think. Um, would be interesting to approach making ableism a challenge the characters must overcome, not just a standard, yeah, analogy villain. Sometimes ableism is I'm going to fix you. Yes, yes, yes. So Heathen brings up something very important, like um, the Arcadians are very much in the camp of I'm going to fix you. There's something wrong with you. I'm going to fix you, right? Yeah, Shai says, yeah, an Obsidian Star rules breakdown. That's going to require serious brain action, but it will be worth it. This there's a term that's I don't know where I got it from. There's a term that says, had I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. And it's basically the idea that we can always use more words to describe something, to bring across something, but actually designing a role-playing game is the art of taking enough time to reduce it down to its lowest common denominator for consumption. So yeah. So anyway, it's all this stuff, and I tried to write it in very bold, and so people could see it and all this kind of stuff, attributes and things like that. The main attributes are vector, arc, and axis, and then we have um, approaches. There's 6 approaches, but you only pick 3 of them. And those 3 approaches, you pick, it's wild, swift, bold, focused, careful, or subtle. And then it's a combination of the 2 whenever you want to do something. And there isn't any initiative. Initiative, it takes place in the order of the attributes that you pick that you want to use at the time that you're performing an action. But anyway, dumb stuff. Okay. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Also, here in the States, we're going to have Thanksgiving, but there will be a show 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time each of those days, if especially for people who are overseas, across the pond, or what have you, or if you just happen to be a person that can't sleep or something, where you just get up the hell real early. I'm looking at you, Heathen. Yeah. Yep, exactly, Drew. Yes, says the best design. Oh shit. Did it show up? Damn it. It faded away. Yeah, the best design is indeed when you cannot remove anything more. And so I'll be doing that. Yeah, Heathen. Yeah, you. Oh man. Yes, absolutely. He says, I like it when character creation is simple. Then the process is more fun because I'm less focused on doing math and more focused on character ideas. Exactly. And yes, it's science fiction. I love my post-humanism and stuff. And I want to make the rules as as simple as possible so that we can engage in the other explorative elements of it, because a lot of the post-human games that I love have rules that are a little more complicated. There are more complicated than a little bit, let's put it that way. Is neat to throw all ideas during brainstorming, but later one has to comp through those ideas. Hell yeah. And you know what? Sometimes you got to kill your darlings. Oh, I hate it. Sometimes you literally have to take a scalpel to things you love and just get rid of it. And I've done that so many times. I'm like, oh, this would work. No, got to get rid of that. Oh, this would work. Nope, got to get rid of that. So there's a lot of that stuff. But anyway, Lord says, gratitude for the harvest of RPG ideas. Well, that's the whole point of being here. I look good because you guys bring your brilliance here, and then basically this entire channel is an idea you can steal. That's what it breaks down to. Hey, let's get together. I feel like it's hanging around the table in the mama's basement with people before or after the game, just talking about ideas and pop culture and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I do try to wrap it around and try to keep it kind of focused, but whatever. We get really squirrely here. So Caligulus the Palace Live says, thanks for the show. No, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Seriously. Seriously, I do need a duck now. Listen, guys, your time is very valuable. You heard me say it before. You spend your time here. So I hope in some way I can give you some form of change in your TTRPG experience. Thank you guys. Thank you, co-hosts, for helping me feel brilliant and things like that, or appear brilliant. Everybody have a great one. I will see thee tomorrow. Peace, tranquility. Have a great one.